A good one, a good saying as well is, it's the ones that you don't see coming. They are the ones that catch you out. No, them traps. Everyone can see a big power shot coming. You know, sometimes they work, but it's the little sneaky traps for the shots, for the takedowns, for the subs. The ones you don't see coming more often than not are the ones that end up putting you away. So
So UFC London, man. You were originally booked to face Umar, and then they took him off the card, and they put him at UFC 272 against Brian Keller. Man, when you think about how that kind of transpired, conspiracies kind of run through my head. What did they tell you? How did they explain to you why they took him off the card?
yeah, so you know, to put a bit of context into, we signed the fight Umar. I think it was back in November, and originally was going to fight in February, and then obviously they started to put in place the UFC London idea, and they obviously wanted me on the card, so we got sent another contract with Umar's name on, obviously, but with a different date. So I signed that. Within a couple of days, it had been leaked. And this was back before Christmas, and then obviously I got a text from my manager saying Umar's out. He can't get into London. So it was literally in the same text. You know, it was like Umar's out, he can't get to London, and Valliev is in. And that was the last I heard of it. I mean, I hadn't done any sort of fight camp or fight prep for him, so it was not like you know, I wasted a month training for a guy and then the fight never happened. But you know, I have seen stuff online, like Khabib and stuff saying that they wasn't sure why the fight was called off either. So it's a bit of a strange one, really. You know, obviously he's not injured or anything because he fought on the weekend. So I don't know. We were told that he couldn't get to London. I'm not sure what they were told, but I'm sure inevitably we will eventually fight down the line. I'm sure.
Yeah, I see it happening, man. He's undefeated. You're undefeated. There was a lot of hype about that fight when they announced it. In London would have been the perfect place, but like you said, sometimes it just doesn't work out, and we'll see it in the future. It's gonna be a banger, man. It's gonna be more on the line when you guys meet, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, you know, our records will be better. You know, we're more than likely going to end. We're both going to be shooting towards the top of the division real soon. You know, he's an elite level guy. I'm an elite level guy. We just need those guys to face, you know, in order to propel us onwards. And I'm sure whether I meet him in a fight or two's time or a year or two's time, like you said, when it does happen, it'll be bigger stakes and it could even be a main event somewhere down the line. So, you know, time's on our side. I'm sure we'll get it on eventually.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned that on the same text they gave you your next opponent, Valiev, and was he a guy that you've been keeping your eye on since you joined the UFC?
Yeah, a little bit. It was again another little funny story. After my last fight, he sort of called me out on Twitter. You know, he was all respectful. There was no like trash talk, and you know, he was aware that obviously I was injured. I got injured in my last fight, and you know, he was just a little tweet saying, I think he even tweeted me, or perhaps he replied to one of my tweets, and he was like, brother, you know, I think when me and you are going to fight soon, and it's going to be a great fight for the fans. You know, or heal up from your injury, and hopefully we get the fight soon. Something along those lines. And obviously, I didn't respond because you know I was injured. I didn't want to be, you know, sort of lining myself up fights with guys. I had no real time frame on when I was going to be back. I was still waiting on my scans and stuff. So yeah, it was almost, he almost spoke into existence, I suppose. But he was a guy I knew of anyway. You know, I watched him fight Barcelos, and obviously I've seen some of his other fights in the UFC. So he was a guy I knew about. He was another up and comer that I knew was on the same sort of path as I am. So it didn't come as a surprise, you know, when they threw that name in the mix.
Yeah, those injuries, man, the thumb, I believe, and then the left shoulder. How did you get those, repaired?
Yeah, so to be honest, the thumb injury was a little bit of a blessing in disguise because I had my scans on my shoulder. It was a grade 2 tear, and they said, look, we can avoid any surgery. It's just a case of you know, 8 to 10 weeks of pure rest and of physiotherapy. So I linked up with a good physio over here in Wales, and you know, to be honest, if I didn't have my thumb in a cast, I probably would have rushed back to training a little bit sooner than I should have. Without, you know, making sure I completed the full 10 weeks of rest and the full physio program. I mean, even after the 10 weeks, it was in a hell of a lot of a better position than what I was, but it still wasn't 100%. And obviously, the hand being in the cast just meant that I had to rest it completely. But we're all good now. I mean, I've had a good tough training camp, 11 weeks since Christmas. I did a little bit of training before Christmas, and thankfully I've had no pulls, no injury, no sort of niggles at all. Everything. I'm not sparring with caution. I'm not worried about taking a knock on the shoulder or scrambling on the shoulder. Giving weight. It feels as strong as it did back before the injury. And same with the thumb. The thumb was a little bit less complex. It was just a case of in a cast for 8 weeks and let it heal up.
So you get back into training around December, or in the middle of December, somewhat. Is that like you're entering camp right away, or was it just regular training? Getting used to being in the scrambles and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it was just basically a case of easing my way back in. I knew with the London card being in March that I would have like roughly 10 or 11 weeks after Christmas. So in my mind and my coaches, they sort of said, look, let's just get used to moving and sparring a little bit light, and putting a bit of strain, because my physio was saying to me, put under a little bit of strain. Now you got a bit of time, don't go mental straight away, but let the bigger guys, rely on a bit of strength a little bit and see how it feels. So we just spent a couple of weeks, doing light stuff, light grappling, light wrestling, pad work. I mean, I hadn't hit the pad since 2 weeks before the previous fight. So what was that? I mean, we're talking August. So it was like solid 4 months before I even threw a punch on the pads. And yeah, it was just a case of taking my time. And I knew, to be honest, going into Christmas, that by the time the new year come around, the shoulder would have been fine to spar. The first week of camp, I was a little bit sort of on edge, wondering how it would hold up under such a stressful training schedule. But obviously, no issues, and the physio did his job. Put it that way.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And Valiev, when you look at his UFC run, I believe he lost his. He didn't really. Well, he lost his first fight. He was knocked out. His second and third fight, he won by decision. Barcelos and Day. I think Barcelos is probably his best performance. When you look at his fights, what kind of fighter do you see?
Yeah, look, I mean, the Barcelos win is a very good win. He's a legit guy. He's one of those guys. If you let him dictate the fight, if you let him dictate the pace, the range, you let him dictate, the distance, then he's a tough guy to beat. He's very good at just being busy and winning those rounds. He can wrestle a little bit, obviously, as well. He's not just a striker. So it's one of them. It's a fight I've got to come out and dictate early on. I've got to set the pace, my pace. I've got to set my game plan and sort of control the fight from early on. He's one of those guys. If you sit back for too long, and he'll steal the rounds, and next thing you know, you're chasing the clock and chasing the scorecard. So I don't want that. It's going to be a case of coming out nice and fast in that first round and sort of enforcing myself on the fight. And I'm sure he's going to do the same thing. You watch him fight, he comes out fast and hard. If I come out fast and hard, then obviously it's goal and makings of a fun one for the first for the first show for a British crowd in a long time.
When you look back at your last fight, you went to the judges. You still got the unanimous decision. You had the injuries, but I feel like if people don't know that you had those injuries and you had to battle through that, they would have a mistaken judgment or assessment of your performance. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, like if you're an outsider looking in, it just looks like I cruised for 3 rounds. It looks like we established that I was a better strike guy. He couldn't close the distance, and it just looked like I cruised my way to a 3-round decision. Obviously, I don't ever want to do that. I want to go in there and put guys away. And then even with one arm, I was very close to putting him away in the first round. The arm triangle fell on this side. I think if it had fell on my right side, my uninjured side, I think I probably would have finished him in the first round. So yeah, it's not something I want to do. I'm not a guy who's going to sit on the back foot and cruise his way to a points decision. Obviously, I want to put guys away, and I think everyone who's followed me and who knows me knows that. But obviously, when you look at the fact, I fought probably, I don't know, 13 minutes and 15 minutes for one arm, and the one good arm, and then the bad arm. I couldn't wrestle, I couldn't grapple because of the shoulder, and striking became difficult in the end because of the thumb as well. I could feel my hand pulsating because the thumb was completely snapped at the base. But look, I got it done. I think in hindsight, it's a testament to my toughness and my fight IQ. 99% of fights you're gonna have two working arms to go out there and win with. So excuse me, if I can win with one arm, then it sort of shows the level I'm at. And it's not something I'd recommend. It's something I probably wouldn't do it again. But in a way, I'm glad I did.
Well, I think you could build off that a lot. And also, when you get into fights that are higher stakes, bigger things on the line, you've been through that, being injured in the middle of a fight and fighting through. If you haven't been through that, you might mentally fall apart inside the fight, right? But you've already been through it. You got the win. So it could help you.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about, as much as we all want to stay undefeated and win every fight, we do have times where we gotta meet adversity head on. And although I wasn't hurt or rocked or in any serious danger, the fact that I was sort of fighting a guy with one arm is something I've never experienced before. And it wasn't. I think scary is the wrong word, but it was a little bit, where it was on eggshells. Where it's like it only takes one false move by me here to even make the shoulder worse or to put myself, because I was thinking this guy's a national wrestling champion. So if I end up on my back and I've got to somehow find a way to my feet or try and engage in a wrestle or grapple exchange with one arm, it may not come off well for me. So like you said, it was a matter of, it was a little bit of adversity and it was good to test myself under that. And it's only going to make me stronger now going forward. I know mentally and physically that should something like that happen again mid fight, then I've got the mindset to push through it.
What is the buzz like in Wales right now?
Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Obviously, like COVID's pretty much gone away now. I mean, the gyms are back open. We're having lots of local shows. Even like not the UFC guys and the Bellator guys, but even like the domestic guys on the come up, the pros and cage wise, they are fighting regularly again now. So the buzz is insane, and obviously this London card adds to it. We've got Cage Warriors, and like before, there's a couple of Welsh guys fighting. So, don't be surprised if people are up there live on the weekend. Next week there'll be Welsh flags everywhere.
Yeah, I think so too, man. And so how do you see yourself, getting your hand raised inside that O2 Arena in London, man? That's a legendary spot right there.
Yeah, I'd love to put him away, and I think they can put him away. Whether that's on the feet or on the ground. I mean, he's obviously a solid grappler coming from Dagestan and from Mark Henry's gym. I know that, but I just feel like my grappling for MMA is truly the elite, if not the best in the division in terms of how I mix in my jiu-jitsu with my strikes and on the feet as well. I showed in my last fight, like look how crisp my striking looked in my last fight, and again that's with one arm. There was so many shots and so many angles and movements I couldn't create because I was just working with a sort of damaged tool set. But he's a very explosive guy, but he's also very, he's a bit of a madman in terms of he throws caution to the wind. And I think anyone who fights me like that, they're eventually going to leave themselves open to something. He's not a decision. I know he's had a couple of wins by decision, but he's not a boring decision fighter. He doesn't come out there to just pin you and stay on the back foot. He's coming to bring the fight for the full 15, and I think anyone who fights me like that, there's always going to be those opportunities to put him away on the feet or on the ground.
Yeah, that's a great point you make right there. Is that he has a style where he's kind of moving forward and he's always kind of pressing the action, which means that it will allow you to create or traps, so to say, and look for those finishes, man. And that's so important in a fight. The old saying, "It takes two to tango," and it's so true.
Yeah, and also like a good one, a good saying as well is it's the ones that you don't see coming. They are the ones that catch you out. No, them traps. Everyone can see a big power shot coming. And sometimes they work, but it's the little sneaky traps for the shots, for the takedowns, for the subs. The ones you don't see coming more often than not are the ones that end up putting you away. So fingers crossed, I can set one of them traps and lure him into it this time next week.
Well, you've been good at doing those. You've 15-0, man. So you've proven it in the past. Have you heard anything about Fight Island in Abu Dhabi later this year? I figured that a lot of the UK guys, the guys based out of Europe, would be wanting to have a show there because the travel and also I believe it's tax free, so that's always good.
That's always a bonus. Um, no, I mean, I have heard rumors, but again, not nothing personally, just stuff I'm seeing online that they're aiming for like a show in October time, November time, something like that. I know they. I remember when they first went to Fight Island, seeing something like that the UFC promised Abu Dhabi so many shows a year. So, um, look, I've fought in Fight Island before, but I would love to go there again now and experience it properly. Where we're not quarantined in the hotel. Where we can go and we can experience the island a little bit more. We get to fight in a full arena rather than I didn't even fight in the Etihad last time. I fought in the little marquee. So it'd be great to go out and experience it again. Like you say, it's tax free and it's a much shorter journey for me than somewhere like Vegas. I'll fight. I'm open to fighting in America. I love it out there, but it's a much easier and less stressful trip for me to go to Abu Dhabi. The time difference is not as bad, you know. So I'd love to get on an Abu Dhabi card, whether that's I don't see it being middle of the year because of international fight week and stuff like that. But hopefully they do come back end of the year. It'd be great to go out there and experience it with fans and with a bit more interaction this time.
And, well, Singapore's having a card in June. I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that's too quick of a turnaround for you, but that could be a possibility.
No, yeah, that would be a perfect turnaround. You know, I want to be active this year. I've got an all day booked with my girlfriend in July, the middle of July. So I want to get another fight in before that. You know, I want to make sure that I get 3 fights in at least this year. So June would be perfect. I've got teammates that already booked the fight in May, so it would line up perfect. You know, we can train together, and the fight camp's pretty much, you know, pre-planned. So like I think what would June be from March? Probably 3.5 months, 2.5 months. So 10 to 12 weeks turnaround. That gives me a chance to have a week to rest and straight back into it. You know, gives me a chance to not put any weight on either. So the weight cut should be nice. But yeah, June's perfect. That's providing I'm injury free, of course, and you know, no cuts and anything. June is definitely what I'm aiming for.
All right, a couple more, man, before I let you go. MMA fans, man, they're you know they're great sometimes, but they're not great sometimes. It's a wild bunch. MMA fans, they obsess about certain things. What do you think they obsess about too much that fighters really don't care about?
um, there's so many like because like I'm quite active on Twitter and I just see so many like I don't know if it's a thing that but like tech, like I just see so many accounts and you know, like they have no profile picture and like about 10 followers and they're just so critical of technique. Like I seen a video yesterday of Conor McGregor in like a power shield. And, you know, you can see he's literally just doing a gentle session in the middle of the day to stay active, and you've got people criticizing his technique, and it was like, oh, Conor looks slow, and Conor's gone back to his boxing stance, and I get it, you know, they are fans and they deserve an opinion, but a lot of the time, I mean, just everything. Like you see they see like they're obsessed about the weight cuts all of a sudden now. Everyone's so negative about the weight cut, and it's like, God, he looks drawn in. It's like, well, every fighter looks drawn in. You know, every fighter you sit out to the back waiting to get on the scale. You look around the room, every single guy on the card is drawn in. We just haven't seen it so much because we've had the pandemic for 2 years, so everyone's waiting with masks on. You know, like I've looked great on the scales my last 2 fights. If I stripped that mask off, I would look drawn in as well. No doubt I'll look drawn in next weekend. But you got to understand, like we are pros, and 99% of the time we've got a pro team around us who, you know what they're doing. They're not going to put us in any danger. So they're a great bunch of MMA fans, but they do get carried away a little bit. And the hype trains, you know, there's so many hype trains. Like we get a guy gets one good win, and it's like I think he's going to beat fucking Kamaru Usman, and it's like let's just see how he does the next couple of fights first. But you know, we wouldn't be getting paid without them. So I love MMA fans. I'm an MMA fan myself, and I can honestly say, like from personal experience, like 95% of the interactions I get online, on Twitter, on Instagram, are positive, and people wanting me to do well and wishing me well, and they generally mean it. You know, you get the odd couple of trolls who try and like throw a bit of shade or a bit of disrespect, but the only reason they do that is for you to respond or for them to then say, "Oh, I had a bite out of this guy." You know, you don't give them that bite, you don't give them that interaction, then they go to bed and live their sad little life as they do every other day. Whereas the guys who are positive, you know, and nice to fighters and wish them well and genuinely mean well, like they just make the sport so good. And you know, we generally as fighters do appreciate. I've got so many friends, I consider friends and fans now online that I've never met in person. You know, just over the span of my career, they've got in touch and wished me well, and we chatted back and forth and stuff, and it means the world to see that people can see your hard work paying off, and generally do want you to do well, you know. So for every troll, there's probably 10 to 50 good guys out there. So I don't obsess on it too much.
For sure. PTSD in combat sports, not CTE, but PTSD from injuries, weight cuts, damage taken in a fight. Sometimes, a loss can have psychological effects on fighters. Have you ever experienced this in the past and overcame it or seen it around you?
Um, I've definitely seen it around me. I'm pretty mentally strong, to be fair. Like I can understand a bit of. We laugh and joke in the gym about like PTSD with the weight cut and stuff, and it's like, you know, I know boys unless they got to cut weight, one taking hot bath, you know, they'll have a shower, because the feeling of being sat in that bath reminds them of the weight cut. Like for me, it's the smell, the sweet sweat everyone uses to cut weight. So like whenever I buy that now, I buy the flavored one. So you can get like a coconut one, an orange one, and I always buy the flavored one because the smell of the original one, where you only gotta have one tough weight cut, and for some reason you obsess on like that smell, just think, oh fuck, there's the PTSD, that weight cut. So that's the one for me, to be honest, the smell of sweet sweat. But thankfully now they've started bringing out the fragrance one, so I can get over it a little bit. Just means like I got a coconut one now, so just means I gotta stay away from coconut for a month till I forget about the weight cut.
No coconut juice for you, huh?
No, no, no.
All right, one last one. Crypto, man. It seems like crypto has become intertwined with mixed martial arts, just combat sports in general. What is your take on crypto, and would you ever consider like receiving your fight purse in cryptocurrency?
Yeah, like I'm no expert by any means, but over the last sort of 12, 18 months, I've definitely sort of dip my toes, so to speak, in crypto. I've got a little bit of a portfolio. I've got a good sponsor, what they call Coin Corner, who are like a British Bitcoin exchange company, and we're working on some stuff behind the scenes to bring in some more sponsors as well. But I know little bits. I don't claim to be an expert. I would never give advice to anyone really, because I just don't know enough. But I do think it's the future. We're going more and more towards a cashless society where everything's sort of digital, and I think crypto is a good way to sort of allow you to be in control of your finances, rather than the higher ups, shall we say. So I I I I don't have my full purse in it just yet, but I would definitely consider, every fight I have money, I put a little bit into certain coins. And look, I think eventually that will be the way forward. I think we laugh and joke now, but I think eventually in 10, 15 years time, everyone will be getting paid, or you'll have the option at least. Do you want to be paid in crypto, or do you want to be paid in well, look at Francis. I think Francis has just converted half of his last purse into Bitcoin or something like that. So, if a guy like that, with all the advisors around him, he's got doing it, it's obviously the way forward. But it's obviously got a long way to go. I mean, it's up and down. It's so volatile. I mean, no one knows for sure what it's going to do next or can predict it. But I do think it's got a big future. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So yeah, I'm all in on the crypto train, but I'm no expert, so don't take no financial crypto advice from me.
All right, well, one thing we can guarantee is that you'll be there March 19th, man. UFC London. It's a crazy, crazy matchup. I love it, man. Jack, always appreciate the time. Good luck on the rest of the camp and all the best in the fight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again.